I think that new agents really underestimate the amount of money and the amount of grit that it takes in this industry to make it, because activity breeds activity. So you're out there doing the hard shit that nobody else wants to do. You're going to pick up all of that opportunity because there's families struggling in silence that need you and they don't know how to find you. So don't operate like a secret agent. Get out there and stop making it about yourself. Serve people and get to the point where they trust you enough with whatever they're struggling with in silence.
Here's something $1,000 a month. Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Abercrombie Flipped real estate podcast, where we talk all things real estate related. I'm really excited about today's show because I've had the pleasure to speak to another one of the top producing real estate professionals in all of DFW. Natalie was one of the first real estate professionals I met when I got into this profession. And what I love about this episode is Natalie highlights a strategy that can be extremely effective for any professional out there. So it doesn't matter if you're in real estate, solar, window cleaning, print, finance, this technique highlights the aspect of community. It can make you successful if you follow it. So she starts talking about the 5 pillars that it takes to be successful in real estate. I screw up and get so sidetracked on the strategy that we only actually cover 2 out of 5. If you want the rest of those, I'll put them in the description. And listen guys, I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I do this with the sole goal of providing value to you. So it really helped me out if you do that. Anyways, let's get to the episode. Hope you guys enjoy.
2, 1, let's go!
We're one of the first open houses and agents I met in the industry. So I'm excited to learn a little bit about you, and hopefully you can share some of the insight that you got with some of the people listening to this as well. So let's start kind of high level. How did you start in the industry? What made you say, this is what I want to do?
Okay. This might have to be edited. Okay.
Nothing's edited.
Okay.
This is a
Okay.
rated R podcast.
Okay, perfect. So for 10 years, I kept having reoccurring dreams that I was showing vacant houses. And it was crazy because I had a lot of limiting beliefs, thinking that I had a stereotype with a vision that to be a successful real estate agent, you had to look a certain way. And I didn't meet any of those criteria. In fact, I was opposite.
Mm.
So one day I said a prayer. My mom had passed away a few years prior. So I literally said a prayer to my mom. And I said, if this is my calling, I'm going to get a jackpot at WinStar at the casino. And I went to the casino and I hit a jackpot.
Did you really?
I did. And it paid for my real estate school.
Was it slots?
Yeah, and my husband at the time, he hit a royal flush off of $1.50. I hit Wheel of Fortune off of $1.50.
So Wheel of Fortune, $1.50.
And then he hit a royal flush, and we went home, and it paid for real estate school. So it was a sign.
Wow. Well, what have you, so since being in, so I'm assuming you're talking about, like, was one of the things I've admired about Ben the most has been, he's an inspiration to me because he's somebody that looks like me. And it's a thing that shows in a white dominated industry. There's somebody who is one of the highest producers in DFW, you know, is a minority. So it's inspiring. So I'm assuming that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah. I thought that I had to be a tall, skinny blonde to make it in real estate.
And you've made it. So what have you found out?
That it's not that hard to stand out. That it actually comes down to work ethic, mindset, unlimiting your limiting beliefs, and getting around the right people that are going to help you grow.
Yeah. So what does it take? What's made you successful, like in the industry? What have you done? So you said mindset, hard work. What does that really mean?
So everybody gets in, well, I can't speak for everybody. A lot of people get into real estate thinking that it's sexy, that real estate is such a visual industry that they get excited about the cosmetic finish outs, right? Everything beautiful. There is a perception, I think, that realtors make a lot of money and drive nice cars. And I think the one thing that stands out is my philosophy of investigating the unsexy side of real estate, meaning what's below everything pretty.
What is what?
All of the things that nobody talks about, the fraud, non-disclosure issues, the construction defects, the reasons that people move, trauma, divorce, death, life changes. And so getting in the weeds with people and becoming not just their advocate, but their protector, and learning how to investigate properties differently.
Mm-hmm.
I operate more risk adverse. I'm not just chasing a commission check. I'm literally trying to protect my clients.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the hardest things for me, one of the hardest lessons I learned, I had a divorced couple when I first started off, and I learned that you have to be very careful about how you navigate that, because I was just talking to the husband of this couple.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake, because the ex-wife was not very happy about that. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes and that a lot of people don't know about. But what have you done that's made you a successful high producing agent? What would you tell somebody? This is what it takes. These are the things that you need to do if you're talking to a newer agent, newer real estate professional.
Probably 5 things.
Okay.
Get a board of directors. We're the collection of the top 5 people that we surround ourselves with. So we shouldn't be taking advice from people who haven't accomplished what we're looking to achieve, right? So having a board of directors, people that are going to guide you, it speeds up your learning curve. So get a board of directors.
How would you recommend finding one of those?
Well, a board of directors can be coaches, mentors. They don't necessarily have to be in real estate. People in the top 1% of their field, top 1% attorneys. I mean, there's a lot of attorneys, and then there's ones that lose cases. But find and vet the people that are really at the top 1% of their industries and take advice from those people after you've investigated their backgrounds, right?
So the whole concept of wolves run with wolves, elephants walk with elephants.
Yeah. And so understanding kind of what their behavioral patterns are, how do they get to be in their top 1% of their industry? And then the other reason of having a board of directors is, who do they know that maybe you need to know, right? So networking, and then how do you provide value to those people? So getting a board of directors. When I first got into real estate, I was so desperate to make money by any means possible that I door knocked. And I built my business door knocking and cold calling.
Okay, I want to ask you about this.
Yes.
Because this is one of the things that's talked about in the industry is the importance of door knocking, but not many people actually do it. So what has been your experience door knocking? And does it work? And is it something you say it needs to happen in this industry?
Anything will work if you do it enough. Okay. So you have to have a strategy. And I was so poor when I started because I had just quit my full-time job, that I learned from door knocking that people are nicer. They're a lot nicer when you show up with brownies or something to give to them, some item of value. Okay. So I started taking little pop-by gifts, whether it was brownies or, and things that would stand out. So little flower pots. Actually, that was my first thing. I took little flower pots. Well, I got so good at it, I realized that for every $62 I spent, it yielded a $5,000 return. So
wow.
I learned how to duplicate and scale. that way.
So were you just doing this in your neighborhood?
In my neighborhood. And then I got it down to where I knew I could hit 150 doors in 2 hours. So then if I, if I spent $62 for 60 houses, I could either double it and spend 120 and make 10,000 in 2 hours. I had it down to a science. It took 18 months to build up, and then eventually I ended up selling 10 houses right on my street, which was perfect because I didn't have to spend money to leave. And I just did open houses in my neighborhood. And so I developed a strategy around it. So anything works if you have a strategy.
So what are you saying? So you go knock on the door, you got this little flower pot. What is your pitch?
Hey, I'm your neighbor. I live right here at 400 Cameron Hill Point. I'm just bringing this by to let you know that I'm brand new in real estate. And I know we had a storm last week. If you need a roofer or if you need anything, you know where I live. If you have any real estate related questions, let me know. I'm here. I'm here to help. And by the way, on the street, we all had the same builder. So I already knew, okay, I know, we have the same builder. So, if you need, I don't know, the roofer, the vendors, the builders have contracts with, I'm your girl.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So that would just be the first.
That. And then I also cold called circle prospecting.
Okay. What is that?
So anytime we would have an open house in the neighborhood, we would, first of all, skip trace a list of all the homes and their data. And then right before the open house, we would drop now I know that there's new ETPA laws and there's new laws with cold calling. But back in the day, we were able to drop 2,500 voicemails at a time. We had to set up a separate Google line for all the crazies that called back and then the few regulars that called back. But we would do this before every open house and then send out a mass text blast.
Oh.
I didn't learn this tactic, this whole system until I came to Keller Williams because I was at a different brokerage before. Nobody was doing anything like this.
Right. That's what I talk about a lot is how important the right brokerage is.
Yep.
That's why I'm a huge advocate for KW because of the training and resources they provide.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you need a brokerage, definitely shoot me a DM, message Natalie because we'd love to have you as part of the family. But all of that. So I think what's important about that is it doesn't necessarily have to be your open house.
Right.
Or your listing. It doesn't have to be your listing to circle prospect. It's it's a free way to prospect. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So our income is a reflection of the value that we provide to people, right? So a lot of people avoid not open houses, but door knocking and also open houses.
Cold calling. Yeah, some people avoid
open
houses.
Yeah, we're naturally programmed to avoid pain and what feels uncomfortable. Well, number one, there's no growth in the comfort zone. So we have to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable in order to grow. And when you are desperate enough for money, like I was a single mom for 15 years and I got in this mindset of you cannot out hustle a single mom. So I did not give a
shit.
I didn't give a shit whether if I had to go knock 150 doors, like we had to eat.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I had to take $62 to flip, which by the way is better than WinStar odds. Okay. Because I knew, okay, for every $62 to make $5,000. Okay, so this weekend I made $10,000 in 4 hours, right? Or 2 hours or whatever. And then I would follow up. So a lot of people have limiting beliefs, but when your pain exceeds your beliefs, then you either sink or you swim, right? And I had no backup option.
So, okay, so you would spend $62 and it generated $5,000 in commission.
Correct.
Did you have it broken down to X amount of door? Like, you knew if I knocked on 100 doors.
Yes.
That's all. Like, so how far did that $62 carry you?
It depends. So my item of value, I tried to spend $1 or less per door, just to keep it simple. Because I could go print out shit that look low budget, but I was also trying to build a brand and stand out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to look like every other realtor out there. And also there's a book by Jeffrey Gitomer called The Little Black Book of Networking. And it talks about attracting, not chasing, right? So I wanted to attract people with my energy. And so I knew that if I showed up with something, whether it was comfort food, brownies, something, they were going to lower their guard and talk to me. And then I left them, with the impression that was personable and that I was an extension of their family.
So yeah, a few, that's so smart. A few boxes of brownies costs.
That was before COVID.
$20. Yeah, before COVID.
Yeah.
So roughly every 62 doors, so what did you see a better return on? Door knocking or the circle prospecting with the cold calling?
You have to layer it in. It's all just follow up.
So that's another touch point.
Correct. So my strategy was door knock, give them an oxytocin release.
Which is
number one.
The gift.
Capture their info, but you're not going to get their info unless they trust you. And the way that I got them to trust me was I gave them my address and said, I'm your neighbor first and foremost. I didn't want to seem salesy because I wanted to attract them. People want to spend money, but they don't want to be sold to. So that was my strategy. Then from there, I would get their contact information and then I would text them a follow-up text with my contact, with my card. At that time, we didn't have digital cards, so I just text them a picture of my business card. And then from there, I followed up again, property tax protest, or anytime there was a storm. Hey, is your roof, are you guys okay? Is your roof okay? And then I started learning from Keller Williams that people buy and sell real estate regardless of whatever the market's doing, but based off of major life changes. And I got to a relationship with these people to where they knew that there was nothing that they could tell me that would scare me away from whatever unsexy situation they were going through. Like I had already witnessed or been there. So providing value.
So you were treating your neighborhood, that was your form of farming.
Correct.
And instead of sending, like some people do mailers or door hangers, you were knocking and calling.
Right.
To the point where every one of your neighbors eventually knew you.
Right.
And so that's okay. So this is all a free way, or almost free.
It's free. To care about people, to give a half a fuck about people is free.
Free. How many homes in your neighborhood were there? So you would walk the entire neighborhood.
Yeah. So in that neighborhood, there was 300.
And are you still living in that neighborhood?
I have my house there still. It was an Airbnb. Now it's a traditional rental.
Okay. So do you continue to farm?
No, but everybody has, because I sold all the neighbors' houses when I moved away.
Your brand is there.
Right. But I still keep in touch with everybody, all of my clients.
Wow. Okay. So all right. I think there's a lot of people that would say, I'm uncomfortable, on this, but I don't like the idea of the door being slammed in my face and being cussed out at.
And my response to them, and this is how people either make it or they don't, right? You have to do the hard shit and you'll have a disproportionate amount of results. So to all the people that are like, I don't want a door knock. I mean, we hear this all the time in our industry. People are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get into real estate. I'm going to make a lot of money and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And then you realize that whatever it takes comes with restrictions. And so my advice to those people that are like, making excuses, give me all that fucking business. I'll take it. If you guys don't want it, like, I'll take it.
Wow. So are you still doing these techniques today?
I'm not. So now, not in that neighborhood. I moved to Frisco, and in my new neighborhood, I'm doing it a little bit different. I'm not cold calling. I joined the social committee for our HOA. Now,
as long as you're consistent with something.
As long as you're consistent with something. I mean, everything works as long as you do it consistently for 18 months. That seems to be the magic number according to a lot of the coaching programs out there. So that works. I think people need to figure out what resonates with their personalities. Well, I have found more results. I don't want to use the word luck because it's not luck. It's intentional. But I have found the things that resonate with my personality, which is I like to create experiences and give people oxytocin boosts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to word it, but
you found your niche in which works for you,
right,
based on your strengths.
Right. And then there's people that are analytical. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes down to the analytics and the contracts in protecting my clients, I take it serious. And property tax protest in liens and judgments, foreclosures, evictions, all of those things are serious.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's not what I'm doing to necessarily attract people through my marketing. So everything works as long as you do it, and as long as you do it consistently. I think that new agents really underestimate the amount of money and the amount of grit that it takes in this industry to make it. One of the wisest agents that I ever met, Troy Olson, told me my very first week, he said, you're going to make it because activity breeds activity. So you're out there doing the hard shit that nobody else wants to do. You're going to pick up all of that opportunity because there's families struggling in silence that need you and they don't know how to find you. Mm-hmm. So don't operate like a secret agent. Get out there and stop making it about yourself and serve people and get to the point where they trust you enough with whatever they're struggling with in silence.
Yeah. Yeah. What's crazy is there will be people that hear the success of the story that you're talking about and they still won't do it.
Right.
So but I also think what you're saying is you have to figure out what works for you.
Right.
There's a lot of forms of advertising that work in this industry, but it's important to find the one that works for you and be consistent with it.
And it can't just be marketing. A lot of people really focus on marketing heavy, but then they forego lead generation. Nobody ever told me that this was a lead generation business. I thought it was just showing homes and, I don't know, finding homes, opening doors and looking at all the pretty shit, but it is a lead generation business. So until you understand, number one, that all things are energy, including our numbers, including the board of directors that we associate with. So, and then putting boundaries around those things and strategies.
Are you spending any money marketing? Like, do you run any advertising pieces?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that as well.
So we are through our database. We're still running targeted marketing, multi-channeled marketing for all of our listings. And then also, I'm not spending any money like on social media.
But so you're not running any physical mailers, or
I'm not.
You don't do any print.
Other than our event flyers, I do a lot of print work, but I'm hosting events now for my neighborhood and also different local organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where my money's spent.
Got it.
Okay, so instead of door knocking now, instead of chasing the business, I'm creating events for my subdivision in the community. Halloween event, invited 2,300 families, 40 directionals. I mean, that's a $10,000 event, but it's like, okay, do I spend $1,100 a month in mailers? I'd rather just throw a fucking party and have adult cocktails and a DJ and juggling clown on stilts.
So you threw it. So this was at your house.
At my house, yeah.
So
creepy cocktails.
You invited the whole neighborhood to it.
Invite the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Really, it just depends on, your strategy.
Yeah. So what would you say to? Surely you've gotten the door slammed in your face before.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do you handle that?
What
what's your mentality to get over that fear that a lot of people would experience in that situation? Because I need to do more door knocking.
Okay.
Do a lot of advertising on social media. I'm not a guru, but I'm really good at it.
Yes, I've heard.
And I like doing print.
Yeah.
For me, it's systems and processes. It's things that I can set automatic.
Yes.
So
I love that.
for me, it's this is an excuse, but I don't have the time to go knock the door. Neighbors, I probably do. But I also think if I showed up to a neighbor's house with a brownie, it'd be kind of
awkward. A lot of
what's a male tactic maybe too.
Right.
To doing this, I don't want to make it sound sexist, but
I've heard that before. Like I've heard other men say, "Hey, that would be weird to like show up with brownies." They would think, like I'm up to something. Like kind of looks suspicious, or it could be perceived. Everybody has natural talents. So within your talent arena, that's what you should focus on. I like planning parties and creating experiences more than I like door knocking. However, I was so desperate, and I'm not afraid to door knock, by the way, because the way that I handle getting the door slammed in my face, number one, is okay, well, I will, I don't process it as a rejection. I put a dollar amount, and I'm like, okay, that door slam was worth $30 of my time. Let me get through 150 doors to get to my 10,000. I'm one more door there.
And so, okay, what do you do with that person that slams the door in your face? Are they off the list at that point? Do they enter the...
Well, I look at the tax records and see if they're behind in their payments. Maybe if they're facing foreclosure.
What if they just don't want to talk to you? Like, what if it's just...
I get it. And it has nothing to do with me.
Okay.
It has everything to do with whatever situation they're going through at the time. And when people are harboring anger and negativity, then they are going through some shit at home. And those are the people that actually need the most outreach. But I don't reach out and I'm like, hey, are you okay? Because you seem emotionally unstable. No. I'll invite them to the events. Hey, and until they tell me that they're either, I guess until they buy or die, like.
That's a really good outlook on that. For someone to be that rude to another human being, something's going on, right?
Yeah.
So when you do invite them to an event, are you knocking on the door again? Or do you leave something on the door, or how do you go about that?
So I will leave. It depends on the event. Right now I have everybody skip traced in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I don't like mass market to my neighborhood, by the way. I'm literally focusing on one family, one relationship at a time.
Sure.
If it was a neighborhood that I didn't live in, absolutely. I would be emailing everybody the invite. And same with my client base. I email them. I text them the invites. we send out the Eventbrite, eBrite, market on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's multiple steps in our marketing plan for each event, and then post-event follow-up.
Right. But so realistically, because this, I really enjoyed hearing this.
Yeah.
Because it's a form of advertising that's free for people to do. I'll reiterate that. Really no excuse not to do it.
Right.
How realistically, there's probably not a ton of people that are actually going to shut the door in your face.
But they just won't answer because they'll see you in the Ring doorbell.
So how do you eventually, I guess you can find their information in the tax system as far as email address.
You can skip trace, so you can pay services to skip trace.
And then they insert your database.
Yeah, I don't throw everybody into my database until I actually talk to the people.
Okay.
But you can throw them into a dialer, or you can throw them into your mailer list or whatever. And then, again, one family at a time. Every family has needs. You just haven't uncovered them yet.
Got it. I love it's a community sense. You want to get to know your neighbors.
Right.
You want to know everybody in that neighborhood.
Right. And I'm not just interested in the pretty shit. Like, this isn't superficial.
You really do. I can tell.
Yeah, like, I really want to know what's going on with the kids and what kind of struggles they're having. Because that's where it's allowed me to accelerate past a lot of my peers.
And it takes a village.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
And to be able to connect people with resources. Hey, if your son's having mental health issues, or you have an LGBTQ plus child, like, there's nothing that they can tell me that will scare me away. They have that uncle that's a drug addict or fentanyl issues. I've been there. Not personally, but with my own family.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all reasons that cause people to have to move. And sometimes they don't want to move.
Yeah. I know that if somebody knocked on my door and they tried to pitch me a sales pitch, I'd want to shut it in their face.
Yeah.
But if somebody came and said, look, I'm having this party. I want to get to know the neighbors. For Halloween, come over, stop by. And maybe it's a pamphlet with my information, KW on it. That would go so much further. And again, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
I love the idea of centering it around an event as your first opportunity to door knock. Because there's no sales pitch
And
here.
you could do that for open houses.
Yeah.
You can do that for expired listings. And that's another thing too. If you're hosting an open house, it's free to run a search to see if there is an expired listing or for sale by owner in the same neighborhood, and invite those families so that they can see the kind of traffic that your events bring in.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, somewhat pivoting.
Yes.
You were originally on a team. I think your
Yes.
team's disbanded since.
Yes.
Now you're a solo agent.
Solo. Back to being solo again.
So talk about that. So what have you seen the biggest, because I think a lot of questions people in the industry have is, should I join a team? Or should I be solo?
Right.
So what have you found? What are the strengths and weaknesses of each, and what have you enjoyed more?
I appreciate both dynamics. So as you're just getting started, when you interview a team, obviously you want to join the right team for you, right? So the benefits of having the right team, I think, are you're going to learn discipline and structure. You're going to learn lead generation, a variety of lead generation tactics, especially when you're first getting started. A lot of people, and I think a lot of people who don't work in real estate, they think that we get leads from our brokerage, right? We have to generate.
I wish.
Right. We have to generate. We have to go hunt for our own clients. It's not just given to us. So joining a team is going to give you, some teams provide leads, but I think the agents that are in this business looking for teams and brokerages to provide leads, those are the ones that are going to get washed out. They don't make it because you have to learn how to hunt. And when you'll hear people say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and then they start making excuses left and right. All of a sudden on January 1st, everybody's setting goals and everything. And then by January 17th, everybody's, I don't know, they have excuses on Saturdays and Sundays.
Right.
Right? They're not available to work.
Right.
So joining a team, they're number one, you're buying infrastructure. I don't think when you're brand new, I didn't know that real estate was pay to play. Okay, so unless you have reserves, people don't just get into real estate and start making money right away. And then when you do make money, your paycheck is divided 3 to 4 ways. You might only get a third or a fourth of it.
Especially on a team. Yeah.
Especially on a team. However, with a team, you are going to be learning how to lead generate. They're going to hopefully have some sort of training and onboarding and leadership and structured calls where you can learn who the high producers are on the team and what their habits and activities look like so that you can start adopting some of those.
And there's accountability.
There's accountability.
Which with solo work, it's you. You hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, and then, you don't have to pay for as many expenses. They have an operations team, so contract to close, and they've got people to help you write contracts and everything. When you're a solo agent, you're paying for all of those systems.
Yeah.
Obviously, at Keller Williams, we're blessed with
a network
yeah. of systems and people. So we are like one big team.
Yeah.
And so we have transaction coordinators and all the things, compliance, contract helpline, things like that Keller Williams offers that other brokerages don't offer. And Gary Keller is like the best visionary and probably the center of our board of directors. So, and he stays ahead of the market.
Mm-hmm.
They help guide us and protect us from lawsuits and things like that. Help us navigate different contract changes and changes with the National Association of Realtors and the DOJ stuff. And so they keep us informed and they protect us. And so there's safety in numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to pivot to a little segment that we do.
Okay.
Called the rapid fire segment. I need to come up with a better catchy name for it.
Let's do it.
Some AI. Okay, so these are let's do it this way. 2 words. 2 words. You can only use 2 words to answer these questions.
Okay.
So, why should somebody look at buying a house now instead of waiting for the interest rates to drop?
Wealth accumulation.
Okay. So, all right, elaborate on that.
Well, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today.
Yeah, I love it.
So, most of the top investors and multimillionaires and billionaires, Mark Cuban, they don't time the market based on interest rates. They go buy an appreciating asset, and then they refinance when the rates come down. My wealthy clients don't worry about interest rates. Why? Because even if they're 7%, they're already making at least 5 of that back in bonds and securities.
Yeah.
Life insurance and also tax code. Yeah. I mean, having a tax strategy, loopholes, things like that. They're making way more money than the 7% interest rates.
Yeah. I mean, I do a ton of investment work.
Yeah.
If you find the right deal, you can make it work in any market.
Correct.
It's just, you might have to sometimes I'll have to draw up 100 offers before one of them actually gets accepted.
Right.
But the one that gets accepted, it cash flows in this market. So,
right.
Okay. What's the single most important thing a new agent should focus on?
Energy.
1 word. Okay. Energy. Cool.
All things are energy. Money. Chaos. If you operate in chaos, then you're going to attract more chaos. So everything everything out there is energy.
So let's stick with the 1 word theme.
Okay.
You changed the rules, but
okay. Don't judge me.
1 word to describe 2025 for you.
Graduation.
Graduation. Okay, you're gonna have to.
Now you're breaking your own rules.
I know, but now I gotta hear more on that.
Graduating from limiting beliefs, graduating from bad habits, graduating from into the next phase, the next segment of growth. Graduation.
I love it. I think to summarize, what I've loved about your perspective is everybody has such a unique way they can go about this industry. All of them have to be consistent, and they got to require hustle and doing things other people won't do. You found one that works best for you, and that I think everybody should be doing. I mean, just hearing you talk about it, the approach that you're taking towards it, it's not salesy, it's genuine. And you're doing it to get to know people. And you've kind of inspired me to go back now and get to know all of my neighbors and host a Halloween party next year. I mean, that's going to be my goal.
And you want to R&D it, you can rip off and duplicate all of my event plans. I'll literally...
Well, we're definitely going to be talking offline.
Perfect.
I'm going to get the playbook.
Got it.
I appreciate you being on this.
You're welcome.
Thanks for taking the time. And hopefully you guys learned some stuff from Natalie, and hopefully we can have you on again in the future.
Thank you for having me.